Hello and welcome into the Knicks-Verse special live draft special for the Knicks primarily, but we're going to talk about lots of players, lots of teams, their needs with my special guest, the draft guru, Stephen Fox. Welcome, Foxy.
Hey, thank you so much for the invite. I can't wait to talk about the draft. Salute to you, salute to the chat, salute to all into the Knicks-Verse family, SV Nation, and all the Knicks fandom. Can't wait to talk Knicks basketball and especially the draft.
Yeah, it's a good time to talk about it because the Knicks just lost two games in a row, two tough games. And it looks like, the play-in is kind of getting further and further away from possibility. I had already kind of like called the season about a week and a half ago
Yeah, you did.
before the three-game streak. They would have had to have gone on such an incredible streak, which they started doing it. So I was like, wait a second, maybe something's possible here. But in the end, the hill was too high to get over. They basically had put themselves so far back from the play-in with just so few games to go that right now we're looking at the next most important thing for the Knicks, which is the lottery. Can the Knicks get lucky in the lottery finally? Finally.
God, please, please, please. God, please, 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 please.
Oh, man, absolutely. Salute to the chat. Thank you guys for joining us. Geraldine MacGyver, Air Force One, Still Dre. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We just want to announce that we have a new sponsor today, which is BUSR. It's a sports book. But it's also it's a casino. It's a lot of different things, and we have a special promotion. It's bet $1 to win 10,000 plus 100% sign up bonus and 25 casino chips with every deposit. It's pretty cool. One lucky winner will be randomly chosen and credited with $10,000 right away. So this is for new signups and existing customers. So the rules are easy. Just sign up or log into your account, make a deposit using the promotion on site. Use the link. That's it down in the description, and it's up in the upper corner here. And you will get the registration is already opened, and the winner will be announced on the 26th of March, the day of the Elite Eight. You make a deposit, you place one bet or more, $1 or more on any of the games, and you're participating to win. So, and what's cool about BUSR is that they're a smaller sports book. So they do quicker turnarounds and sort of cash outs and customer service. So there's a lot of advantages to it. And check it out. There'll be a little video for it later. And now we will jump into the draft. Let's go. So here is the latest draft lottery simulator from Tankathon. And as you can see now, the Knicks have moved from the 10th position up into the 9th position with the tie break. And hopefully, man, it'd be nice for us to get a little bit further. I'd like us to get like to that 7th pick. It's possible. But
Yeah.
It's I don't know. The way we've been playing lately, we've been playing pretty good ball lately, actually, even though we did lose those two games. This might be, I think 8th might be the most we can hope for. What do you think, Foxy?
I'm hoping, I'm really hoping 5th, but even if we're there, whether or not, like we saw years ago, with a different analogy, meaning with Luka and Trey going 5-3, if we can go from 8 or 9 to 7, or depending on the player of our choice. But yeah, at this, with the season, play the kids, but every loss is a good loss, as crazy as it sounds, because I just don't think the development that the young kids will get over these last, games will offset us getting an elite player to this roster. We're in desperate need of talent on this roster.
Absolutely.
And with this draft, folks, there's such a radical drop off that really I'd love us to be in that 5 position as much as possible, because it gives us leverage to look across, whether getting a wing, whether getting a 5, not knowing Mitch's situation, etc. So, so I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into it either. I mean, just to give you guys some comparison, I'm sure a lot of you have already heard that this year's draft is not as deep as last year. Well, there are very few drafts in the history of all drafts that are as deep as last year's was. Last year's draft probably might be one of the 5 deepest drafts ever, if not maybe even higher. I mean, just maybe even 3 or 4, actually, when it's all said and done. There were definitely at least, I would just a ballpark guess, potentially 10 all-stars were drafted in the first round last year. We don't have that this year. Actually, I mean, there's a lot of guys that have that kind of all-star-ishness to them, but there's still question marks. So we'll get into it. One thing I wanted to point out here is just the odds. This is why I actually put this up here. So the Knicks right now, if they stay in the 7th position, when it comes to the actual lottery,
the ninth position,
ninth position, when they come to the lottery, thanks. That their chances of getting a top 4 pick in the lottery is a 17.3% chance. Now, look how much it jumps if you're the 8th. It jumps 9 percentage points to a 26.3% chance. So it really would be nice for us to get, like Foxy was saying, get up there 7th or 8th. Unfortunately, this 3-game winning streak might have actually hurt that. But you never know. There's a lot of things that can happen towards the end of the season. We only have there's less than a month left of the season.
14 games, man. It's frightening.
It's crazy that we're here. We're back here now.
Yep.
Wow. Now, in terms of getting the number 1 overall pick, right now, Knicks have a 3.8% chance of getting that number 1. Now, sometimes that's all you need. It's happened. It's happened before. So this is still something that some people were saying we should be tanking and all that stuff. I agree in certain ways. I definitely want to feature the kids because the development is something. So you always got to think about what's actually within your control. Development of the kids is in our control. So we have to play them, feature them. If it turns out that they win because of it, then that's great. That's great. But if we try to win with featuring the older guys and then we miss out on a decent draft selection, that's a disaster situation. We don't want that at all. Hey, Fox, you want to take a break to shout out anyone in the chat?
Yeah, you already touched on one of our favorites, my friend from the Bronx, Geraldine MacGyver. We have Bricks Nation, Ned Flanders, Dripmore. Hope all is well with you and your family. Lex the Destroyer, one of the great mods in history. Juan Ventura, hope all is well. Let's see, Gary Phipps, UBG again. Still Dre, as always. We really appreciate all your support. Air Force One. So sincere to genius. We can't wait to hear your comments in here. As always, we love interacting with you. And also one of the things I'll say is that this is an iterative process, folks. We'll be changing radically because a lot of the teams you see early in the season, I'll use Gonzaga, they may not have the best conference they play in. So you're seeing them play, not the greatest teams and guys eat, but then all of a sudden they get into conference play and then they get into the March Madness, and then you see them against different competition. So guys that could be number 1, 2, or 3 on our board today could be not there tomorrow, or it'll change radically. And that's the beauty of this, because we're seeing them in competition. You're seeing them against great competition. You're seeing them with stress, games on the line and everything like that, national TV. And those are the things you take into account, especially with us at the Knicks, because how does somebody react playing under the lights of Madison Square Garden? That's why Grimes and certain players that were selected, you have to have a certain persona to be able to play in New York, as we know.
Absolutely. And I hold in very high esteem the NCAA tournament in terms of showcasing talent. Usually players that get into that Elite 8 and above, or just can push their teams far, those guys normally trend out to be very good NBA players. Now, sometimes they're tweeners and then they're just great in the college game, but that's what we're here to look for those attributes that can transcend to the NBA game beautifully. But usually, what I like to look for are winners. That's my big thing, especially, and that's why the NCAA tournament is so fabulous for that. And we're gonna have another show like this next week, next Monday, after we've had that first week of March Madness to look at and see how these guys perform, see where they're going. There might be a new guy that popped out of nowhere, and that's the exciting part.
It is.
I love that part. Just want to call out Kept Giggles in the chat dropped, when the Bulls drafted Derrick Rose, they had a 1.4% chance to get the number 1 pick. Nice. It's good info.
Well, it gives us hope. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Hey, look, like this is the thing about this in terms of odds. I mean, we only have one of these a year. There's only been, how many, like 30 something draft lotteries in all total. So it's a very small sample size. So yeah, someone with a 1.4% chance can actually get the number 1 pick. So it's possible. But if you're not in the lottery, you can't get it, which that was the danger of the play-in chase. Man, hey, shout out Cully. Thanks for joining us.
Yo,
all right, well, let's
Cully.
get to it, Foxy. Let's get to the Foxy's right now. What we did, the two of us, was we looked at the top 10 because we figured the Knicks would land somewhere in that top 10. When Foxy did his initial draft board, the Knicks were in 10th place, and when I did mine, they were 9th place. So it's good to give a little variety as to where the guy's going to land. And let's go first to Foxy's 2022 NBA top 10. Here we go, Foxy.
Yeah,
to you.
I kick it off with Chet Holmgren going to the Rockets. He's a real guy, special guy, an incredible guard skill set for a 7-footer. High IQ, good shot blocker, rim protector. He has nice touch, which will translate to a stretch 5 in the pros. Outstanding handles, shoots over 80% at the rim, 41% from 3, and that's sensational. But he needs to put on weight. Early in the season, we saw him in a key matchup against Paolo Banchero of Duke. And even though Paolo at 6'10" is a power forward, he just was way too strong. And just watched him a couple of weeks ago against St. Mary's in their conference game, and he has issues. So even with, he's 7 foot, folks, 7'5" wingspan. He's 19, almost 20 years old, 19.9 months old. So he's almost 20. He has a lot of talent, but he's also a pick that can get a GM fired. Because you just don't know how he's just so weak that he can't hold a spot. And what happened in the games that I've been watching is that if a guy puts his weight on him, another center, he, even though he has that 7'5" wingspan, he doesn't have the lift to block shots. So he can get meaning. All right, that we both have different things, which is cool, but he has a lot of skills. You just hope that he can put on some weight, put on some strength.
He works angles well. So something like he'll slip around a guy, because I agree with all those issues that unfortunately it looks like he has. But
I always transpose in my head of how would he be playing in an NBA environment versus elite NBA players, their speed, their strength, their length. And a lot of the times when he plays against those guys, that maybe, translates more to an NBA player than some of the other guys in his conference, is not as dominating. So I hope that's why we can't wait to see him in March Madness. But he has all the things. If he hits, he has an unbelievable ceiling. But he also is scary if he can't put on that weight and that strength and have that base in that position. So in some of the teams that he'll be drafted, he may start off at the power forward. So he's not banging at that 5 position, and ease him in over the next couple of years into that as he matures. But you can't, like I said, folks, if you go on the web and see him fooling around with Stephen Curry, goes behind his back, fakes one way, and he dunks, and you're like, at his size? Or I'm sure a lot of you seen some footage of his games, grabs a rebound, goes coast to coast, does a pull-up 3. He does things that you don't see people his size do. So if it everything comes together, his ceiling is very, very high.
Yeah, let me chime in here about this because we both have the same number one pick. As you can see, Chet Holmgren. I totally agree and have a similar concerns about his frame, but that's the concern that people have had about him forever, and yet he just keeps dominating every level he moves on. His physique has been a concern because I mean, look at him. You can see him right there. He looks like a skeleton with skin draped over him with a jersey.
Skeletor.
Yeah, but he is physical. He's not. He's not like a Porzingis kind of skinny guy. He's actually a physical dude. He might get pushed around by bigger, heavier guys, but he doesn't shy away from it.
Tough kid, no doubt.
Yes, he's tough, and that I like. His basketball IQ is beyond. Now, here's something that we just need to just understand about this kid, Chet. We have never seen a player like him with his skill set at his size ever. So it's hard to really know what he could be. Like Foxy said, his ceiling is just off the charts. He could be a perennial all-star for years to come. Or, something happens. He can't handle the physical aspect of the NBA game. And, he's like maybe like, 20th best center in the game or something because of his physique. But if I were to predict, I have a feeling that this guy's the way his mental makeup and his skill set, he can pass, he can defend. He can defend out on the wing. He can defend down low. His blocking, like you were saying, sometimes he has trouble blocking certain guys' shots because he can't, even though he has a 7'5" wingspan, he can't get up that high. That is true. However,
when they put their body on him.
Yeah. However, all right, I got to do something here. However, we're getting a little spam here. However, his ability to work angles and recover and get those blocks is just outstanding. So I mean, honestly, he's my dream pick.
Is he?
I think he's so unique, especially because we don't know what the Knicks are going to do. We don't know if they're going to stick with Julius. We don't know if there really is going to be a star that becomes available this summer who wants to come to New York. We don't know, but I do know that Chet playing with a Julius type player and an RJ, that would be a nice trio. That would be something pretty outstanding, especially his ability to get those other two guys the ball with his height and his court vision. He could be kind of like, we could kind of use him like a Draymond in a way. He has that type of skill set. We'll see if he can actually pull it off in the NBA game. That'll be the big question mark on him.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go to the next one.
Jabari Smith of Auburn, 6'10", 7'1" wingspan, 19, a little over 19 years old. Literally one of the best shooters. Just absolutely beautiful shooting mechanics. Release point is so high, very similar to a Durant that he's very difficult to block his shot. Absolute sniper, 42, a little over 42.8 from three. Great length, lateral quickness is allow him to defend multiple positions. So, he's a pick and pop and catch and shoot, a demon. So with the right guys, I have him going here to Orlando. So whether it's a Suggs or a Cole Anthony or somebody like that on a pick and roll, he could be devastating. So, but he needs to work on creating his own shot. He, from an offensive rebound standpoint, he averaged less than one offensive rebound, and that bothers me when you're 6'10", that you can't even get one offensive rebound. He doesn't like the paint. He's not a guy that really likes contact. You watch a lot of his games. He lives out on the perimeter. So he needs to create more, play through that contact, cut down on some turnovers, Right now, he's basically a 1-to-1 ratio between assists and turnovers. So, but his shooting, he's a sniper. So, in the right situation, I see him being a very good player. And like I said, with those feet, I could see him defending on the perimeter. I think he's going to be a really good, and also the spacing in the NBA. A lot of these guys you see in college, they get better in the NBA because of spacing. So I think Jabari Smith is going to be a fine professional.
Yeah, I think I kind of see Jabari and Chet as like this upper tier, and
Exactly.
then there's like a segment below that which you have him here. Uh, Jabari, he looks like he could be a really special power forward in the NBA.
And he's tough. He hits shots in big games, meaning
Yeah,
down in crunch time and overtime. And you love to see that when the pressure's on, he came up big.
totally. Yeah, absolutely. So I 100% agree with everything you said about Jabari Smith. I think whoever gets him, like if it is the Magic, they're going to be happy for years to come. He does have that kind of all-star potential. We're going to run out of when we start saying that about other players because there's a lot of question marks on this list here. But Jabari Smith is by far probably, I mean, with Chet, they have Chet listed here as a power forward, but I see him more really as a center in the game. And Jabari Smith is the number one rated power forward in the draft. I think by
No,
far. I think,
by
yeah,
by
especially
far.
with, yeah.
And also on both sides of the ball. Banchero is talented, but he doesn't. You may have issues, and we'll get into that in a second. He doesn't have the foot speed and lateral quickness that Jabari does there. So
Yeah, Jabari can cover some small forwards, can cover wings, can cover some bigger. I mean, hopefully he can cover some bigger wings, some bigger power forwards. I think he can, especially with his size, and when he gets into the NBA, fills out a little bit.
he has to hit that weight room exactly.
Yeah, he has a really pretty stroke too.
Gorgeous, and it's like Quentin Grimes. Pardon me. If you watch 10 shots, his release point is exactly replicates it almost every time. So it's a stunning shooting form. The mechanics are beautiful. And like I said, highest release point possible. You're not going to block his shot. So he's going to be an animal on catch and
Who
shoot
does he
and pick and
remind you
pops.
most of?
That's a good question. I don't know. That's a good one. He has unique skills. You don't see a lot of guys at that size that can shoot the ball from that distance like that. I don't know. I'll let me think about it. And but wow, from a comparison, I don't know. He's a real. I don't know too many guys that almost at that 7 foot level about that can shoot like that. He shoots literally like a high, like a small forward,
Yeah,
level. So he's so unique that way. That's why he's, at 19, he's like why people crave him because he's unique. He's very similar. You don't really see guys this big. Like I said, another guy grab a rebound, come down, and does a pull up three. How many guys at that size you see do
or
that?
go coast to coast.
Exactly, coast to coast, and he's really as crazy. He's a little vertically challenged. You don't see. I think maybe at 5 dunks for the whole season. He's not as you think 6'10", and he's going to be an above rim guy. He's not an above rim the guy.
Now,
Uh,
do you think it's he just doesn't like to do it, just doesn't, or he just doesn't have it in his game?
I,
Because
I,
he's
I yeah, I think more than anything, maybe he doesn't like the contact. That's what he's shown so far.
yeah,
He's not like you seen on the rebounds, not even one offensive rebound for a guy his size. So I think you watch him, he just loves hanging out at that perimeter. And but you know what? You could have the way he shoots, he could have a really successful career hanging out at that perimeter.
totally. So so interesting. So two things that we already popped up about these top two, they're pretty unique
Oh, absolutely.
compared to it's hard to even find comps. Someone put in the chat. He reminds me of Poku's brother about
Chet
Chet.
does. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. He's a
but
better Poku.
their games are nothing. I mean, he's right, exactly. If Poku is whatever an 8 on certain things, Chet's like an 11.
Yeah.
On certain attributes where like Poku is what I mean. Chet is what people were hoping Poku could be.
Mhm. Exactly. But he's in the league. What? This is his second year at Poku. And you would think that with diet, training, strength, conditioning coaches and stuff like that, he hasn't ascended to a level that I think were expecting. And it comes back to my biggest fear with Chet, that it's a strength thing, that these are their frames. Sometimes you just can't put on that strength like that. You can make them strength, but you can't make them bigger, thicker, or like that. In the NBA, you ask guys who come into the NBA, the first thing that they say is, I can't believe the speed. Every possession, the speed up here is crazy. And I played in a Division I school. What's the second thing? Strength. I can't believe how strong these guys are. They're unbelievably strong, and that's the biggest thing for Chet and Jabari. The guys are gonna call him out, but he did a few things where he's upping his game recently. Jabari, like I said, going to the hole and showing that that grit. So hopefully, I like players when I'm rating them, stuff that have a little nasty in there. I like nasty. So he showed a little bit that.
Yeah, Chet has that nasty.
He does. He's a tough kid, like you said.
Jabari has the nasty.
I'm with you. If you have less than one offensive rebound, you don't have the nasty. So those are the things. So, and that's why we said that this is a weird draft, that I've never seen like the top 4 people that have as many flaws for top picks in this draft. There's people that are top 10 in this draft that would be in the 20s last year, like George opened the show with, that it was a really strong draft this year, but the drop off is remarkable after 7 in this draft.
Why don't we talk about that right now? Like, let's look at our first top 2, because we're obviously we're both separating these two from everybody else right now. But where do you think Chet and Jabari would have gone in last year's draft?
Jabari, I think, would have absolutely been maybe a 7, 8, and yeah, I think so. Obviously, he's not going to displace Mobley and a few of the others, but Cade obviously, and Jalen Suggs. They're such a commodity on point guard. Somebody's always going to take a point guard, and rightly so. I think Suggs is going to have a good career. Don't go by this year. It takes a few years, folks, to get your graduate school and point guard in the NBA, but you can't teach his athleticism. And once his shot drops, his career will take off, and I think it will. But getting back to what George said, so and Chet may be 11 and like that in last year's draft, but. That just shows, like I said, their flaws. Usually, top players, you can see something. Maybe they're not as athletic as you like, or things like that. The flaws on the players this year are just so high for people being taken in the top 5. But like I said, Jabari is gonna. Why I said the comment about Chet, he's the type of player that gets GMs fired. Jabari, I could see, even if his ceiling doesn't turn out to be what, he's going to be a dynamite shooter. Yeah. So he's going to have a great career.
Same for Chet. Chet actually is just as good a shooter as Jabari Smith.
I don't look at it that way because of volume, and also if you look at volume, Chet took three threes a game, and
his volume's not up there because unfortunately that's not the way that Gonzaga plays.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But so we'll see. But
I mean, he's not like that far off from Jabari in terms of his outside shooting, and he can shoot the mid range.
Yeah, Jabari also
he can take you off the dribble. Chet can take a center off the dribble. He can take a power forward off. He can take a small forward off the dribble because he also doesn't dribble that high either.
Yeah. Well, he can take college guys off the dribble.
Yeah. Hey, but people have been saying that since he was like 14 years old. They were like, "Wow, what is this kid?" And then every year he's there owning people in the gym.
No doubt.
It's interesting. These two are interesting. I would say they would probably be in that lower of the top 10 compared to last year. That's how good last year's was.
Unbelievable.
And I agree with you. I mean, there are question marks about these two guys. So it's
more of a Chet than Jabari, I think. Meaning Jabari, like I said, could be successful even with the skills he has right now.
Yeah. Yeah. We got a super chat from none other than JD. So JD, he asks, thank you, brother. Who has the potential to be a guy that you don't have graded as high, but you wouldn't be surprised if he panned out better than you project? This is a great question, and it goes into our sleepers.
Yep.
And since we got the super chat now, I'm going to pull up the sleepers now because we were going to talk about that exact thing. All right, here we go. So here are our sleepers. So, Foxy, you and I have one guy that is both on our list. Actually, actually, I'm not that familiar with Strother, but I mean, actually, I've only seen him one game. He had like a really great game, but I must not have seen too many games where he contributed too much. But overall, let's talk about our sleepers, the guys that JD you're talking about that would be, could be real surprise picks.
Yeah, absolutely. I have, what I put down again was Knicks focused in our situation. So it was tailored to that. So not knowing, especially in the last week, Rokas put out something that if he's not guaranteed, he doesn't want to go with Deuce went through going to back and forth to the G League. So if he doesn't have a roster spot, he'll hang out in Barcelona for the next few years. So that means to me that they may be saying to themselves that, you know what, he may be tradable. He may be a tradable asset if he's not going to be here. So with that in mind, Andrew Nembhard of Gonzaga, he's, his size, 6'5", he has great size. He has great IQ. He's experienced. He played first at Florida for a couple of years before transferring to Gonzaga. He's a good shooter, but he's skilled. He's mature. And, if Tibbs is still around here, he likes those Elfrid Payton big horse.
He's a good defender too.
He is a good defender. He's not a guy that could create his own shot, but with the guys around him, you wouldn't be looking for him. But he's that type of guy. Again, that I brought up on the show.
He's faster than. I mean, he's actually pretty quick.
He is. He's athletic. He's absolutely. So I've been stunned that he hasn't been on a lot of people's boards, but I've been watching him for the last few years, and he comes up big in clutch moments. The last couple of years, and it was hard. You had Suggs last year, so he hasn't really had the opportunity because of the people that Gonzaga keep bringing in. But he's absolutely up there with, I'm saying as a sleeper, somebody that, may go even undrafted or late into the second round. But with our situation, if we're going to trade and have somebody that we want to bring in, work with over the next couple of years, his point guard experience, one of the hardest things, folks, that we've seen over and over again, whether it's quickly and people Ty Washington this year and stuff, is people that didn't play point guard in college, and you're picking him as a point guard in the most elite league in the world, asking them to play something that they never did before. Andrew's played point guard for 4 years. So he's a much more mature type of player than others. So I really look at that. Julian Strother, again, 6'7", 6'8.5" wingspan, athletic, 3-level scorer, very good shooter, good defender. He shoots over, he's shooting over about 40% from 3 this year. So streaky shooter, and stuff like that. But that's why. But I think he'll probably go back to school. But if he doesn't, he may be somebody that could be, if he went back, stayed and went back next year, he'd be a much, much, much higher draft choice.
Yeah. Wait, he's a sophomore or a freshman?
He's a freshman. He's 19 years old.
Yeah, he'll probably go back.
Yeah.
He'll probably go back.
Absolutely. So, by the way, Nembhard is 22. So just shows from a maturity standpoint.
He's young. He's young for a senior.
Yeah. Yeah. My other guy, Isaiah Mobley, the last name may sound familiar. He's Evan Mobley's brother. 6'10", 7'3" wingspan, athletic. I'm looking at him as a stretch 5 potential. Doesn't look like Luka Shamanik will ever get a chance with this team. So he's, but he has good pedigree, as we know with his brother, stretch 5 potential, and okay rebounder and defender. And then the guy that we talked about, Hyun Jung Lee.
I like that guy.
Yeah, this is the weird part about him. He's the first Davidson player to ever be in the 50-40-90 club. And
second best shooter in Davidson history after Steph Curry.
But that was my whole point. He's the first Davidson player ever to be 50-40-90. And Steph Curry went to Davidson. So that just shows you. So he's skilled, he's agile, he can shoot. So I look at him as a specialty guy, a Kyle Korver, somebody that could just come in and light it up. But he's a very, very good shooter. So if you're looking for a shooter,
I like him, man. He's got that Klay Thompson-esque type of game. He's a good movement shooter. He's always moving in a excellent catch and shoot. He's got a quick release.
Good IQ.
His off-ball cuts are eye-opening. He's a 40% three-point career shooter on a very high volume, and he's 6'7". So all of that tells me this guy could be a big-time shooter in the NBA in terms of three-point shooting. He has that type of skill set.
Yeah, up around the 40% mark, and that's with 6 threes a game. So like George said, beautiful volume. So you see that it'll translate to the NBA. So I look at him as a specialty type of guy. But if you're looking for a shooter to come off the bench and light it up, he may have the skills there.
All right. On this list, those are the ones that I think kind of like qualify in terms of what JD was asking. But let's look at the big board here. Here we go. Now, these guys, any of these 14, do you think could surprise people and become much better NBA players than, like, who has that potential than they're being projected to right now?
I think Kendall Brown is a real project. He's athletic as hell. He's incredible, but he's so raw on offense. I think he'll start off on defense well. Great
defender.
Yep. Dyson Daniels has very good vision, but, from an offensive point, shooting standpoint. And the others, I think that's why, you go from 12 down, all of those guys, other than Tari Eason at 10. Tari Eason is very similar to, in my mind, like a Patrick Williams. I think somebody's going to fall in love with him. That he has really, really special skills. He's a beast. He played at Cincinnati and then he transferred over, but he high motor, physical, has some of the best handles at 6'8" I've ever seen. But really with his right hand, he doesn't have a left hand, but I've seen him dribble with his left hand, put the ball between his legs and go. He reminds me of RJ in the sense that he goes right almost 99% of the time. So everybody knows he's going to go right and they can't stop him. Like I said, everybody knows RJ's going to go left. They can't stop him. They can't stop this kid from going right. And also he's achieved defensive stats that in college that only Thibault for block and steal percentages achieved. So he has elite feet. He's probably the best on-ball defender in this draft. He's very raw, though, offensively. Very raw. Good foul shooter, though, that there's hope. He shoots this year, he shot almost 80% from the line. So that's always, people look at that. And he shot almost 36% from three. So I look at him like a Herbert Jones type of player that he's going to come in and be a lockdown guy and have patience with him.
Defensively, he's got that.
Exactly. He'll be a lockdown guy, and you crush your fingers and say a couple of Hail Marys that if his offensive game comes around, because he's going to be dynamite. Like I said, he's the best on-ball defender. He's a nightmare on switches for smaller players. He is a beast. So like I said, with that motor and everything, so if that offensive game comes around, he's a steal. So that's a guy, he's a wild card that you could see somebody like, oh my God, Patrick Williams last year. I can't believe Chicago took him a couple of years ago, whatever, like that.
So high, yeah.
Tari Eason may be this year's version of that, where somebody picks him because you just don't see handles, you just don't see quickness, bounce, and stuff like that. A versatile multi position defender like him. So, and there's a reason LSU is the best defensive team in college basketball, the best defensive rating. So those elite feet and and his size and everything are prototype. So he's a guy that may trend up, or he may not. If the game never comes around on the offensive side, he'll just be a defensive demon.
My guy on this list is Kendall Brown. I think Kendall Brown might be that guy, that surprise guy. That, I mean, if he could put it all together. I mean, right now, his comp is like a poor man's Jaylen Brown. And he barely has even done anything with his offensive game. Most of it is from a defense and his athleticism. He lives above the rim. He's extremely athletic.
Yeah, he's one of the most athletic guys in the whole draft, literally.
Yeah, and we know that translates to the NBA, and not in the way that Keon Johnson was. Like he's got more natural skills. Like
he doesn't have the height, meaning he has prototype height and size. Like Kendall
Keon Johnson didn't.
It did not. Yeah, he was a tweener.
At 6'8", 205 pounds, he's not going to struggle for getting. Also, he is probably. I mean, we can just say it. He might be the best finisher in the entire.
He's a beast in transition.
Yeah, so he has that chance. I mean, if he can put it together in terms of getting that outside shot to be a little more consistent, so he can be that 3-level scorer. He has that potential. Like if someone drafted him like 13th, they're going to be getting an outstanding prospect. So Kendall Brown, it would be my pick. But I want to go back to our sleepers thing again, because before we move on, because we'll come back to this, I want to shout out David Roddy.
Yo,
I love this guy. He's only 6'5", but basically he is a tank in human form. He's six. Actually, well, they have him here 6'5", but he's actually closer to 6'6", 255 pounds. He shoots 46.2% from beyond the arc. 46.2%. Inside the arc, 61.5%. The guy is a bucket. He's like, imagine like a Charles Barkley almost kind of guy, except he actually might be a better passer than Barkley.
Better passer, better shooter, but I don't think he has anywhere near the athleticism and
he doesn't
hops.
have the athleticism that Barkley does. No, he's got the shooting skills. He's got the passing, great passing. The guy does no look behind the back passes. I was like, whoa. He got creative passer. He's also very nimble for his size. He gets a lot of steals. He gets a lot of blocks, which is something pretty wild for a 6'6" guy. I think, if he's in the second round, you take him. He's not like was like Desmond Bain, who got was like 30th, who's just an outstanding shooter. I mean, he's not as quick as Desmond Bain, but he's not that far off. I mean, he could be someone truly surprising. David Roddy. That's my sleeper pick.
I could understand that. I don't have him because I'm afraid he's that dreaded tweener that at 255 that he's going to be way too slow for the elite threes in this league, and he's going to be too small for the elite fours in this league. But he could light it up. And if I was his agent, I'd be telling him to take off 15 pounds.
He's built like someone ultimately asked, is this the guy they say is built like a tight end? Haven't heard that. I've heard he's built like a linebacker.
He is. He absolutely is. And if you can go to my slide that had my options on the first round, you could add as a sleeper, but getting back to JD's question that he asked earlier, Ochai Agbaji, folks, for Kansas, 6'5", 6'6", 6'10", wingspan, a senior, so he's a mature guy. I'm weird on things. He's an academic All-American. He is super smart, and you talk to a lot
too. I should have had him on my.
You talk to great coaches, and the first thing that they look for is really smart players. They love smart. So I love smart. I've learned from them. Super athletic. I don't know if you watched some of the games, folks, last week. Some of his putbacks, but he's a 3-level scorer. I mean, a brilliant 3-point shooter. He's shooting a 40% from three, 48% from a field goal percentage. So. Excellent handles.
Do you remember what his stats were last season?
Yeah, I do actually. Last season he shot 38% basically from three. So this year it's about 41. I'll round it off. And
I
last year
like
was
that.
31%. Yeah, he's a senior, career 37%. So unlike some of the guys that we were worried that were anomaly, that they shot well this year, but previously they didn't shoot that well. Davion Mitchell was an example last year that he didn't shoot that well previously and had a hell of a year shooting last year for Gonzaga. This guy's always shot well. I'm looking at him as
He's one of those guys that the tournament is going to be crucial to see how he responds. If he can really step up like he has been,
yep.
then I mean he could really climb up. You have him here as 15th, possibly.
I have him like saying that if we'll go through it, but if we can't get the guy that we want, and we've seen it with this front office that we trade back, he's a guy, like I said, with that 6'10 wingspan and everything. I'm looking at him at this year's IO that he's NBA ready. People's like, oh my God, and it's a funny thing. Keegan Murray is a sophomore and he's older than Agbaji, who's a senior. So Agbaji is 21 and change, and Keegan is already 22 as a sophomore. So he, I think, is NBA, one of the last year we said, who's the most NBA ready guy? Chris Duarte. He was mature and stuff like that. This year, folks, I would say Agbaji. So he's a guy, getting back to our boy JD. He's a guy that could surprise a lot of people, come into a team like, wow, he's really delivering right off the bat.
He's a
for
winner
them.
too. He's a winner. It's
Yeah.
like it's in his DNA, which I love that.
Yeah.
I'm excited about him. I think he could be a starter in the NBA. I think he has that potential, which for a late first round pick is always a huge thing. If you can find a key rotation piece, 15 to 30, you're hitting a home run. But if you can find an actual starter in that range, then you're crushing it. I mean, that's a big steal.
And also, for looking at our team and what we've gone through recently and watching him, we're in desperate need if somebody has ice in their veins for closing. I see this kid as could be a potential closer in his future. He's that type of kid, and meaning he has that type of constitution. So I'm very, very high on him, and I wouldn't be surprised he goes earlier than I have up there at 15 because of this draft. But awesome. I think he's very attractive.
Cool. Hey, let's just take a moment here. I want to shout out our new sponsor. It's BUSR. They are sports book and casino and games. Excellent. They have a promotion right now for March Madness. It's bet $1 to win 10,000 plus 100% sign up bonus, and you get 25 casino chips with every deposit. And one lucky winner just randomly gets chosen and credited $10,000. I wish I could participate in it, but obviously I can't. Being talking about it here, but it's good for new signups and existing customers if you're an existing customer. So check that out and use the link that's in the description below so we get credited for the lead, because that is what we're doing here for this. All right, one thing I want to talk about before we jump, Derek has a super chat. Thank you so much, Derek.
Derek.
Just threw this up here. Keith Turner put up another sleeper nobody's talking about is Nikola Jovic from Serbia. He's a pass first wing, 209 pounds, can stroke it from three as well. I have actually not been able to watch him. I've read some things about him. I've heard like exciting things about him. He's somebody that definitely I want to bring a focus to for next week's show. I don't know, Foxy, if there's anything you want to comment on.
Another guy, guard skills at that height, that you love. He's a classic, what they're creating today, the point forwards, power forwards that he has to hit the weight room, though. He's going to have difficulty, but he has skills. I don't know about, he has to really work on his shot. I don't see it dropping the way, that you're saying, that, he can stroke it from three as well. I think he shot 31%. So, but so he can stroke it. He has to work on his shot. No doubt. He has to work on his strength.
Isn't he really young?
He,
18 or something.
I'll tell you, he's 18 and change. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's, I mean, look, remember, Giddy. He didn't have such a, I mean, his 3-point stats weren't that great from the Australia League, but he can definitely hit the shot. I think as he gets more comfortable and he gets accustomed to the range, the distance, and works through his mechanics, you can see guys can definitely improve the 3-point shooting for sure, especially if they have other special skill sets.
Yeah.
But I've heard great stuff about him. I just haven't watched.
Great question by Keith.
Yeah.
Hope all is well, Keith. But if somebody asked me the question prior to you, Keith, who's a player that you'd be a surprise pick? Like, whoa, it would have been Nikola Jovic. So that's somebody, a lot of teams like those European players. So
cool.
Yep, great question.
Derek has a question. Derek said, salute George. Who is this year's Cam Reddish uber talented but potential teaser? I think this is the question you were asking about, right, Derek? Just let me know in the chat if this is it, because he also had this. Can you ask Foxy the question?
Derek. All right. I would say Wendell Moore of Duke. If you watch him, he's a very smooth guy.
That's a great pick. I mean, great pick to answer this question.
Yeah. So I look at Wendell Moore, that you see some games he's phenomenal, and other games he disappears. And that was very similar to Cam in college, that you see all these tools, but the same thing, like, the motor or something, like, God, he's so gifted. Why isn't he even better than, what we see? Like I said, his flashes are there. So that would be the teaser, Derek.
I think that's a pretty good selection.
Yeah, no
to
doubt.
Satisfy that question. The Cam Reddish, where they seem to have all the tools, all the physical attributes, just, they just really haven't put it all together yet. And that's how Cam felt in college. And Wendell Moore Jr., I think in some ways, Wendell Moore Jr. actually has done more in college.
He's a junior.
Yeah, than Cam Reddish had. So
yeah,
it's because he's had 3 years. But
yep.
I think that's an excellent selection there. Thanks for the super chat and the comment, brother.
You're the coolest, Derek.
Yeah, man.
Hey, right, real quick. We have how many in the chat right now? We have
120.
120. Do us a favor, do us a solid. Please hit that like, please hit that subscribe, and please turn on that all reminder bell so you don't miss out on any of the great contact into the Knicks-Verse. While you're at it, if you don't mind, do the same for Sports Vibe TV. Please share the link on your favorite social media platforms. And for the mods, we appreciate all you do.
Yes, thank you. Just going to throw this in there.
Adrian.
Yeah, say hi to the kids. Or the kid. The kid. All right. Let's see. Let's get back to one thing I got to say. The Knicks have done well with the picks that they've actually made. That they miss out on some opportunities to trade up here and there. But during the Leon Rose era, they've done well with the picks that they have made. I mean, look at
Tyrese Halliburton.
That was the one. That was the one like major blunder. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. But when you look at Sims and Deuce, second round draft picks, they're trending in the right direction. I'm loving what I'm seeing lately from them. So that's one thing that I'm glad that we finally have fixed that, because after years of complete strikeouts, because even though Tyrese would have been, perfect for the Knicks at that moment, I still believe in Obi. Obi's still an asset. Obi's not Knox. He's not Frank, where it's just a total miss. Those were total misses. Obi is not that yet, and I don't think he will be. But in terms of, that's the scenario we had years ago. Now, Leon, Walt Perrin, and the crew, they seem to have figured out. I mean, they're doing a good job. They're doing a nice job in terms of that. Because like Quentin Grimes.
I know, but I love Quentin. I love Deuce and everything. But the thing that I'm looking for from this draft, we need a terrible infusion of athleticism on this team. Those guys are really, really good. But, Deuce and Grimes, the reason that one was taken 25th, the other was taken 36th, they just don't have that athleticism, from separation and stuff like that. That's why we want.
Grimes gets his shot off pretty easy.
Yeah, but most of the time he's a third option for an open thing like that. But
that's his role.
No, I know, but hopefully he gets more handles for separation. So in the next year or so for both Deuce and Grimes, Cam and RJ and a few others, those handles are everything.
Well, Cam's got that athleticism.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt so badly that he injured that, you know, I wanted him to really show out.
Yeah. All right, let's get back to Foxy's big draft board.
I think we were up to number 3 and late.
Let's talk about 3. Let's talk about them together because we have our the first 3 are the same for the two of us.
Yep.
Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey might be the one guy who could actually be a superstar in this draft, in my opinion. He's the one. There's definitely things that keep me from saying that all with 100% certainty. Like I knew Cade Cunningham was going to be a superstar in this league, and he's showing it. I mean, he's averaging 20-something points already. It took him a little while, but he's figured it out. He just knew he was going to be that kind of guy. Mobley, Evan Mobley, I knew he was going to be an elite player in this league. He will be an all-star, perennial all-star for the majority of his career. He's that kind of guy.
The next decade or so, no doubt.
Yeah. And there's a couple other guys like that. Jaden Ivey, I think, has that all-star type potential. The problem is that his size, people are going to, I mean, even him, they have him here listed as a point guard.
Well, that's, I think, this generation, but I agree with you. If you ask me who has the highest ceiling in anyone in this draft, it's not even close. It's Jaden Ivey. So my only issue is that he has athletic talent like Ja Morant, and he wears his hair like Ja Morant. But folks, he's not Ja Morant.
He doesn't pass like Ja, that's for sure.
He doesn't see the floor. He doesn't pass, and he doesn't have a midi game. And if you watched him, I watched almost every game, literally every game, not just highlights. I watched games, and he has a lot of flaws. I think people get blinded by his unbelievable athleticism and plays, but you can't in the NBA. They'll just say to him, "Hey kid, we're going to pack the paint. We're going to make you shoot." So we know in transition you're unstoppable. You just have that gear that only it's a generation athletic talent, folks. He has a gear that the best you can do is maybe foul him, but he's going to do what he wants.
In the open floor,
forget about it. But the NBA is brutal. Yeah. They'll do things and bring out your flaws. They're going to make him shoot. And, so just going over the measurables, he's 6'4", so he's a bigger, he's a supersized Ja Morant, 6'4", 6'7" wingspan, sophomore, so 20 years old. I see him absolutely as a pick and roll ball handler. He can finish through contact that we keep seeing.
I see him as a better jump shooter though than Ja. A better 3-point shooter, at least at this point where they were in their career. When Ja was a sophomore and Jaden now is a sophomore, right? He's a little bit better shooter.
He is, but the thing that
mechanics.
Well, I was about to say his mechanics. He has a really low release point. He shot over 35% from 3, but it's almost like a set shot. He needs a lot of work. He literally goes to his right almost every time. If you watch him, he goes a little to his left, but he ends up, but this is what I'll say. It'll take him 2 to 3 years, but in 3 years, like George was saying, he's going to be dynamite. It's just going to take him a few years. As a point guard, you see him, he has that dreaded, we see with D Rose and IQ, he leaves his feet a whole lot and stuff like that, but he'll learn with, he'll learn. It's just, if he goes to the right place in development. I have him playing next to Cade. So actually I picked him, that would be an exciting backcourt as unbelievable.
Yeah. Me too. I have him getting picked by the Pistons as well.
Yeah. But I'm also weird in other things that I look at. His mother's coach of Notre Dame. So he grew up in that environment. So I love when kids see that side of the basketball, professional, the dedication, the commitment to be great that's needed. So I know he's going to be there. My only fear for him is people think he's going to be unbelievable from day one. He's going to be unbelievable, but it may take 2 to 3 years. He'll have in his first year flashes of, oh my God, but both ways where you're like, he had 7 turnovers tonight.
It may take some time for him
Yeah.
to be what we think he can be. But
He's electric, though.
He has the highest ceiling, and especially athletically. I mean, that layup he made this weekend, I was just, it defied gravity. He was literally perpendicular with the floor, falling after he'd been fouled, and he concentrated and he banked it. He like kissed it off the glass, and it just kind of went up, fell right through the hoop. Probably the highlight of the weekend. And it wasn't a dunk. It wasn't anything like that. It was just sheer athleticism and skill and finesse at the end. You know, to control his body like that. That was fantastic. I mean, he almost messed his back up, though.
Yeah, if you watch games, he's on the deck like 6 times a game, this kid. So that's not something I like to see. I'd like to see him pick up his game on the other side of the ball defensively. But he's special. He's absolutely special. And you know what, folks, if he went number 1, I wouldn't, like we just said, he has the highest ceiling. So I think maybe
that's the beauty of the tournament. We're going to see.
So meeting with Houston, they have Jalen Green and a few others. That's the only reason that if the order drops that way, usually, you know, I like best player available. But when you have,
that's the other thing we should say. This is all based upon where the teams are right now in terms of the draft lottery.
Yeah, it's going to change, folks. And then as we see him go through this process, like we said, this is going to change. But what's not going to change is how gifted. Like I said, he's generational in terms of his athletic talent. If the other elements come along, and they will, he's going to be special. And like George said, he's a guy that you can see on an all-star team for years to come.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Paulo, because we both also have him as 4th. Paulo Banchero.
Yep.
6'10", power forward from Duke, a freshman, a tank also. He's really strong.
Very strong, 7-foot wingspan, 7-foot plus wingspan, 19 years old, so he's still a pup. You know, very.
A lot of people had him number 1 earlier before the season.
Yeah, but as the season's gone on, and the problem with Duke is, the thing that kills me with Duke is they have 4 number 1 picks this year, probably, and but they don't have a point guard. So Coach K should have been recruiting a point guard. It's impacted everyone on that team not having a point guard. Trevor Keels is good, but he's not a point guard. So it's impacted Paulo's game. But the beauty of is, I think he, maybe next to Trevion Williams at Purdue, he's probably the best passing. He's a wonderful passer, Paulo. Great vision. I think at the pinch post and stuff like that, you know, George brought up Draymond earlier, that he has very, very court vision. He's very polished offensive game, 2-level scorer. The 3-point game is still not there. He shot this year 30% from 3. I'll round it off, 31% for him. A great physicality, as I mentioned earlier about Chet Holmgren. Nice shooting touch, great handles, can use either hand. His mid-range, folks, is already NBA ready. So pick and pop. I see him, and where I had him going with OKC. Oh my God, I could see him with Giddey and Shea and Trey Mann and stuff like that. He would be really rounding out that team. So he has to work on that. I do maybe have some issues with him with his foot speed at the perimeter at the NBA level because of the speed of the game.
That's what I think has hurt his draft value a little bit,
and separates him from Jabari.
Yeah.
Jabari can do the D, and Paulo may not have it.
Yeah,
and he has almost 2.5 turnovers a game. So we want to see I hate to use the word Julius, but there is issues where I've seen where they converge on him and he gets a little rattled and makes bad kickouts and stuff like that. But he's a pup. He's 19, and with like I said, he's an NBA ready player, body wise, gorgeous mid range. You just want to see that stretch out a little. But like I said, either hand, he's gonna be a great career. I don't know about an all-star. But I think and that's why it's so hard. A number 4 pick like that, this draft. But I think he's going to have a really fine career.
Yeah, he could be like a Tobias.
Great comparison.
Like kind of fringe all-stars, whole career kind of guy. I mean, that's like his ceiling, I think.
Yeah.
So that's a solid number 4 pick in a down year draft. I think you'd be happy. You'd be happy with a guy like that.
Yeah. And a lot of them, they have, like, I'll call it the baby fat. Some of them just need to get a touch leaner for them to in the NBA, because they're going to need that speed.
Absolutely. Now we begin to deviate here, the two of us, and I just kind of like intentionally deviated just so we're not exactly the same. Thing is, though, Shaden Sharp, he hasn't played 1 minute of college basketball yet. He's training with Kentucky. He might go in the draft. He hasn't. We're not sure, but we're assuming that he is. Almost everybody is right now, assuming that he is. I have him going 10th, and you have him going 5th. So we have him in the top 10. Let's talk about Shaden Sharp.
Great size. Like you said, the first thing, and it's so hard when you only have high school mixtapes and high school games to watch.
That was the thing. It was hard for me to decipher how athletic he actually is.
Oh, he's super athletic.
Yeah, but the tape that I've seen, like,
I know you're 100% right. That's the hardest thing, saying that. How is he going to go against competition? How is he going to go in pressure points? So you see him step back threes in these tapes, and you see him dunking.
His size, 6'6".
Yeah, right. But he has a 7-foot wingspan, which I think and he has these giant hands. So, he's 18 years old, another pup. So he has all of those things. He has, I used it before, Zach LaVine athleticism, and you don't use that type of thing. Nice shooting form, very good handles.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, so that's nice.
Yeah, creates his own shot. He could be a playmaker for others. He has beautiful pull-up jumper. He'll hit the three. He could be disruptive with that 7-foot wingspan on defense. But, one of the things that I hold hope, what I'm saying is somebody's going to swing here, because if he goes back to school, he'll be a top 3 pick next year, because
I hope he goes to the combine. I'd like to see him in the combine.
Me too. I think everybody would, because some people that I've, been reading and listening, that they've seen him. Other people have leaked out that they've seen him in 2-on-2 and 3-on-3 drills, but they haven't. And that's not the same as playing in a real game. You don't see him in a pick and roll situation. You don't see him in those situations. So you're just going. But there was another player a number of years ago where he had measurables, but nobody had tape of him, because he was supposed to, committed to a college, never played, and his name was Mitchell Robinson. So, a team took a thing on him and said,
in the second round.
He went in the second round, but it's taken a player like that you don't have any tape on, but you see these measurables that you're like, oh my goodness. So you hope he pans out. He's a little thick, so I don't know from a quickness standpoint. He looks quick against high school guys, but how is he going to be, but he's 18. How's his body? He's going to mature and stuff. But I know at Kentucky, he has the best guys in the world in practice, meaning for him to practice against to do his game, even though he's not playing in real competition, practices sometimes with Calipari. So he's absolutely somebody. He's the wild card of this draft.
He is the wild card. I definitely, I think for everything you outlined, he's definitely a top 10 pick if he comes out. Where he falls, it's going to be interesting. It'll depend on if these guys show up in the tournament or not. That's part of the up and down aspect of this. Before we move on, just shout out Joe White. Thanks for joining us. He said Smith is a Rasheed Lewis clone. That's a very good comparison.
That is a very good. Thank you so much. That is a very good comparison. Thanks.
Rashard Lewis.
Yeah. But Rashard Lewis was like one of the first stretch fours that can shoot, had height like that all of a sudden is shooting like guard like.
Yeah.
So that's a great comp. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great comp. All right, number 6. We both have the same guy, number 6. Johnny Davis of Wisconsin, a sophomore, shooting guard, 6'5". I like Johnny Davis a lot. I think he's the kind of guy that could benefit from a deep, deep run in this tournament. If he can get Wisconsin into the Final Four, and he's the leader of it, for all we know, he could get up into those top 4 picks, depending on what teams are they're picking if they have that need for a shooting guard like him, who can also, he's a pretty decent passer as well.
He is.
He can be a true combo guard. Great size.
Well, the thing to his defense, he doesn't play on. He's really the only star on that team on Wisconsin. So
The only star.
The only star. I was trying to be nice, but the problem is I don't see him getting to the Final Four because what happened in the conference games and stuff like that, they double teams and triple teams because they're like, let these other guys beat us, but we're not going to let Johnny beat us. So you're not going to really see the best of Johnny until he gets to the NBA. He has one of
it in the big 12 tournament.
We did, but a couple of those games he scored 11 points. He wasn't lighting it up. But one of the things earlier, a month earlier, he destroyed Jaden Ivey in their one-on-one matchup. Jaden couldn't do anything to him, and he absolutely, Jaden couldn't stop him. Nope. And but Johnny is a very good defensive player. One of the things, he's a dog. So NBA ready mid-range game. I mean, a gorgeous mid-range game. I see him, like you said, on the pick and roll, creating his own shot. You could take it, he's taking this team on his shoulders to win games. I love a guy that hits clutch foul shots. Even though everyone's, looking at him as the only guy, he still came through. He won the Player of the Year over Keegan Murray in his conference. So he's great. My only issues with him, he's an average athlete. If you watch the game that he had against Rutgers here, 6'7", Cleve McCollum, he has some trouble with length. He may have trouble, but I've seen in some of the games, and we'll see in the March Madness, he goes left almost exclusively. If you watch him, he's like 97% of the time he goes left. And even if he goes right, it's 1 or 2 dribbles, and it's just a decoy for him to go left. He needs to shoot the 3 better. He shot the 3 at 31. I'll round it off the kid, 32% this year. He's one of the only people whose wingspan is not available. So he's 6'5". I'm looking at him so much this year. I think he may have a touch slight, so maybe 6'5" with a 6'7", but I'm looking at him almost strictly because of those issues as a 2. I don't see him because of today's wings in the NBA, their sizes and stuff. So I think he's a 2, but like you said, good passer. I think he could be a combo, but he may be limited from a shooting, from a size standpoint of being a 2, not big enough to go against NBA 3s because of their length.
I agree with everything you just said about Johnny, for sure. I think he's like a solid piece. I see him really as a combo. I do think he has a little bit more playmaking ability that's within him. And you're right, he has to carry Wisconsin. He's really the only real star on that team. And so that's usually a good indicator of a guy who is going to transition to the NBA game well. I wish he was a little bit more athletic, just a little bit more. If he was, I mean, that he could actually be somebody special. But I think 6th pick in this draft, I think that's a nice pickup right there.
He's a baby Booker and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, well,
Jamal Murray. I thought more of a Jamal Murray because of his build and stuff.
Yeah,
he's just not as athletic as those guys.
He's just not as fast as those guys. That's the thing. That's what
he has he's sneaky. He has a good first step, but he doesn't have the other parts of his athleticism. So if you watch him, and he's a brilliant left-hand handle. I wish his right hand, he has to work on his right-hand handle, but it's almost like a pass rusher. If you watch him go left, his angle, he's like a guy that goes so low to get around a tackle that he gets to the hole. He has that great first step and he gets there. So he's very, very talented, and his game will go to a next level in the NBA. Like I said, he'll be better in the NBA than he was in college.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, just let's tap into some super chats here that we just got. And this is great. Take a moment out. Thank you guys for joining us so much. I really appreciate it. If you haven't checked out our new sponsor, BUSR, their sports book, the link is in the description. They're running a great promotion right now. Bet $1. You entered to win $10K. Pretty nice. Let's get to this one here. There is Adele Chapman, $2 super chat. Thank you so much.
That was wonderful.
Yeah. If Mitch walks, you use a high draft pick on a center?
I would actually, and there's one on my board that we'll probably talk about in a few minutes. But if you want, we can talk now.
Let's talk about it now.
Jalen Duran. Jalen Duran, I think, has the most upside for somebody from replacing a Mitch. There are a couple other alternatives a little later on, but they're more of a rim protector like Mitch, but they may have issues at the perimeter because they're more 1970s type of basketball fives than they are today's basketball fives. But Jalen Duran is a scary physical specimen. He's the youngest kid in the draft, 6'11", 7'5" and a quarter wingspan. So he's unbelievably, he has an NBA ready body. I don't know if you watched the Memphis game, folks, yesterday, or some of the Memphis games. Unbelievable athleticism. I just talked about his length. He's averaging 2 blocks per game. He's had 3 games with 5 blocks or more. On offense, he's a monster on lobs, on the, a roll threat every time. Also, he does have nice shooting. His mid-range doesn't have a 3-point game at this point in time, but he's a very nice form and stuff, or a turnaround jumper. I see him in the pick and pop and stuff, but he's so young. He's so incredibly raw. He's turnover prone.
No 3-point game whatsoever.
Yeah, he's very raw, bad foul shooter.
That's the thing. If this is why I would not use a high draft, other than for Chet. If we got the number 1 pick, I'm taking Chet no matter what. But other than that, I would not use a high draft pick right now for a center, because I really want to, if we're going to draft somebody, I want us to get that rim protecting 3-point shooting center. I really
There's
want
only one in the draft then.
I know. That's why I wouldn't use it. That's why I wouldn't use it. I try to trade. I try to acquire maybe a Mo Bamba, another guy, that's out there being underused right now. I wouldn't necessarily use a draft pick in this particular draft for that type of a player. Though I do like who's the other guy we were just talking about? Williams.
Mark Williams of Duke.
Mark Williams. No, that him. Oh. But the other guy, he was with is it Purdue?
The center? Edie?
Yeah. No, not him.
Oh.
What's the team? He's a great passer. You mentioned him earlier.
Oh, Trevion Williams of Purdue.
Trevion Williams of Purdue.
He's a power forward, but he's 6'10" power forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely. I don't see him as a 5, but brilliant passer. Closest thing to Draymond in this draft. And that's a guy, if he lost 15 pounds.
He's a sleeper. He's another sleeper, guys. Keep an eye out for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice touch. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely a nice touch and everything like that. But Duran
could have played some 5 in today's NBA.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for that super chat. Let's go to Chris Dada.
Hey, Chris.
Thank you, man. Good to see you. So Chris Dada asks, his first question is, sign and trade Mitch for Brunson. Number 2, draft Mathurin or Abaji. Number 3, sign and trade for Bamba. I fixed the Knicks. That was easy. That sounds good.
I was about to say, Chris, man, I think I like you better as the GM than the we have in house. Those are beautiful. That's an excellent strategy. And also, like I've said before, the Brunson thing, to some people, it's not a sexy pick, but he's a professional. And if a lot of us have cleaning the glass, he's all orange. He's elite at the mid-range. He's elite at the rim, and he's league average at the 3. He's from a great basketball family. He's Villanova tough, and he's not a ball-dominant guard like a De'Aaron. So we're all about the kids developing. I think he'd be perfect for that. So, Chris, I think you nailed that. Mathurin.
The one thing I'm a little concerned about is his defense.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Anytime you have a 6'1" guard, that's why Deuce is an anomaly. There's, with that 6'9" wingspan.
There's very few guys like Deuce.
I agree.
Or Davion Mitchell. Little guys that can cover guys that are 4 or 5 inches taller than them. There are very few like that.
Yeah. But it's a commodity at point guard. You just don't get, the ones that, the DeJounte Murrays that are great on defense, great on assists, great on steals, and all those. just can't get them. You have to think, be lucky from the Lord that they drop in your lap. And there's just no one in the draft. There's no point guard in this draft, unfortunately.
No. And Chris, Dada, your number 2 thing, that's the guy that both Foxy and I want, Mathurin. And we'll get to that. So we'll get to that when we do the breakdown on it. The next thing, number 3, sign and trade for Bama. We just talked about that.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. So you're awesome, Chris, man. You nailed it.
Absolutely. That's a great.
Thank you for the super chat.
Great super chat. Excellent super chat. All right, let's get back to, here we go. Keegan Murray.
Yeah. I don't know, folks.
Why don't you love Keegan Murray, Foxy?
I do. But again, I do like him. He's
I'm trying to set you up.
He's shooting 40% from 3. His stroke is an effortless stroke, a 6'8", 7-foot wingspan. He missed out to Johnny Davis for a player of the year, but he's again really the only one on the team. Just a real weird point, folks. You see me, Johnny Davis at 6 and Keegan Murray. One of the weird things is both of them are twins, and both of their twin brothers are on their teams. So Johnny plays with his twin brother on Wisconsin, and Keegan plays with his twin brother on Iowa. So very seldom you ever see that. But I said to my wife, wow, growing up, no wonder, you have your own training partner, the whole thing.
I will say this. If Keegan is there and the Knicks are like at 10th or 9th, depending on where we are, I would not be unhappy with Keegan Murray being drafted by the Knicks, even though he's another power forward. He has some specialness to him that he could potentially be a breakout kind of guy.
He's at a whole nother level than Obi, and Obi's been in the league for 2 years. So he's a better, he'll walk in already better than Obi, but I also think last year he'd be a 15th draft pick. So he's good.
He's a guy to watch for. He's a guy to watch, keep an eye out in this tournament.
Yeah, good footwork. He's a really solid player. My only issue maybe on switches, his footwork to deal with threes. He does need to work on his handles to create his own shot a little more, but he's a really solid draft pick. And, I brought this up that with Simons on Portland, they have 2 top 10 picks. They're going to be redoing that whole roster. Between Simons, and they'll get Keegan Murray and whomever they pick at 9. All of a sudden they got 3/5 of their team redone, and they'll probably get rid of Lillard. So they're on their way to redoing their whole roster.
All right, Foxy, you know what we're going to do right now? We are both, because when you created your draft board, the Knicks were in 10th, and then when I did mine, they were 9th, but we both picked the same player, as you can see. Benedict Mathurin. Let's jump, because we already talked about Jalen Duren a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll save AJ Griffin, because I have a special place in my heart for AJ Griffin.
Cool.
We'll talk about him after. I actually have him going higher than you do. I have him going 7th.
I absolutely see him in that range too.
Yeah. So Benedict Mathurin, he is the guy that I mean, he is probably one of the best passers in the college game that I've seen in the past 10 years.
Nobody talks about it enough.
No one talks about it because he's a lethal scorer, but his passing is, sometimes he finds these seams that just don't exist.
No look, pocket passes, bounce passes, lobs, the whole works. He is outstanding court vision.
If the Knicks landed Mathurin, that would be a humongous get for this franchise. At this draft pick here. I mean, if we're picking in that but like that between the 6 to 10 range, if we're picking in that range.
That's why I said if we keep Mitch, he would be the happiest person in the world, because RJ is the only one that sets him up. And then he has a Mathurin on the other side setting him up. So all of a sudden, and then if we get a point guard, but everything changes because of that passing. He has one of the most gorgeous 3-point strokes that you'll see.
Imagine if we want to go big and we got Mathurin, RJ, Reddish, and Randall. and then Mitch, like that's I mean, talk about switchability.
Yeah.
I mean, the playmaking suffers a tiny bit, but not really, because we've already said Mathurin is a tremendous. His handle, the thing is, his handle is his weakest thing that I've seen so far.
Yep, he's not the same player in half court as he is in transition, and as George said, it's all to do to his handle. But he's 19; he's a kid, so
19. And he's such an incredible passer. If you guys haven't watched him, you have to check him out. I mean, I know he plays on here in the West Coast, so the games are late. But you actually saw it the other night against UCLA. UCLA was on the way to winning that game. And Mathurin, with his physicality, his athleticism, his ability to find the open guy, find the spaces on the floor that were open, he helped. He basically helped.
Took him on his back. And also, I think at one point during the 11 for 11 from the foul line.
11
so
for
meaning,
11.
Yeah, so clutch, in those moments. Dynamite on defense. I mean, an unbelievable high energy. I've seen him block guys' shots.
Nonstop motor.
Nonstop motor.
You never see him taking a play off. Nothing. He's outstanding.
I've said this before. He reminds me of a bigger Victor Oladipo in his prime. Victor Oladipo in his prime was phenomenal. Both sides. He was all NBA defense and everything. So I absolutely see that. He would be an unbelievable pick for us.
If his handle was a little better, we would be talking about the #1 draft pick right here.
I agree.
I think. I mean, it's
or at least
top 3.
Absolutely,
he'd be above Jaden Ivey if he had the better handle.
Yeah, Ivey doesn't shoot anywhere near this kid. Ivey doesn't pass anything near this kid, and it's a weird thing because Ivey has generational athletic talent, but Ben is so athletic. When is the bar meaning Ben is so athletic, that extra burst, you don't really need it when you have Ben's so much more athletic. And that's why I said earlier, we need such an injection of athleticism on the Knicks. RJ, we love him. You can't, he's a little heavy legged. Randall's heavy legged, Cam at least, is not, he is athletic, but boy, oh boy, could we use that athleticism that Ben would bring.
Yeah, because we, even though RJ, RJ's come a long way. He was never a super athletic guy. His is more skill, more size, savvy. We worked hard on his 3-point shot. He's become a tremendous 3-point shooter, but he doesn't have that, pure athleticism that you like we've even seen that Reddish has, even though RJ can get to the hoop. I mean, he can get to the hoop in the NBA, and that's basically, that's like, that's everything. If you can get to the hoop at any moment in the NBA, that's everything. But these kind of guys can do it with much more ease. They don't need to use their physicality necessarily to get to the hoop. But Mathurin also is willing to be physical. He's not afraid of contact.
Not at all. And you saw him clapping his hands when, like you said, UCLA was ahead of him, getting the guys together. You want a guy like that, we're not going to allow them, I don't care they're up double digits. We could win this game. And he's clapping his hands with the guys, and, Koloko, his passes to get him in. All of a sudden, he wasn't doing much in the first half. He got him involved and had a monster game in the second half. So he's a guy that makes the guys around him better. Like George said, his passing, his defense, he energizes. He's an, energizer bunny, this guy.
Yeah. Look, the Wildcats may win the whole tournament because of him. And they have other great players. They have Koloko, they have a lot of great
Dalen players. Terry, who's going to be the Mathurin of next year if he goes back to school.
Yeah, Terry looks special too. Yeah, but
Tubelis, for sure.
All right. Well, this is great. We have like 120 something in the chat. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe. We still got more to go. I can see that we're getting spammed.
I just hit it. It's amazing. I got my shoes off, so I'm able to do so many things while we do the show.
I just blocked that user.
Good.
All right. Let's talk about the guy. Another guy. This guy also qualifies. The problem is that he's not like unknown. Like everyone knows who AJ Griffin is. And someone wrote injuries are a concern with him.
Super.
Yeah, they definitely are a concern with him. It was Keith put this up. However, you take the injuries issue aside, AJ Griffin, he might be like we 5 years from now, we could be saying, God, how did we screw up on AJ Griffin? He could be an all-star 5 years from now.
Yeah, he prototype size, 6'6", 7-foot wingspan. He's probably the best catch and shoot shooter in this draft. And I love my Ben and everything, but he's the only freshman ever in college other than Devin Booker to shoot 70% in the rim and over 40% from three. So he's in really great company. What we just talked about.
He does have that Devin Booker-esqueness to him.
Yeah, but they don't have a point guard, so you don't really see the best. And one of the things, this is a bizarre question, and it gets back to what Keith just said. He literally did not play 2 years of basketball because of a knee and ankle injury. He missed the last 2 years of high school, and he came into the most elite program in college, playing in Division I, and he's having this year after not playing organized basketball for 2 years. That's incredible. And also, you've heard me with Jaden and a few others from a pedigree standpoint. He's the son of a former NBA player, Adrian Griffin Sr., who's an assistant right now with the Raptors. So again, I love guys who understand the commitment, the professionalism of basketball. He's a pup. He's 18 years old, but that 7-foot wingspan.
18. And he, what I like about him is he takes his defensive matchup seriously.
Yeah. I wish that's one area that he needs. I want him to up his game there. He needs better handles. He needs to work on his handles.
Yeah, his handle. That's what I'm saying. Something like 5 years from now, we could be like, God, look, he look what
you can't teach 7-foot wingspan though.
No, yeah, and he, like you said, he actually is a better. He's probably, let's see, looking at this list here, he might be the best 3-point shooter.
Well, statistically, he shot almost 47% from three.
Yeah, it's just the volume. The volume is not.
It was 4, but at least that's still a nice enough sample size at 4. But from watching, I don't know if there's a better person mechanically for his shot mechanics that every shot he replicates. So mid range, he has gorgeous mechanics. I mean, well trained by his dad. Kudos, because. Wow,
his release isn't as quick as like Quinton's, but it's the same exact release every single time. And also he's a little tall, he's a little bigger than Quinton.
Much bigger, 6'6" and 7. We wish Quinton had that size.
Yeah. So, but he has that type of he can definitely become an excellent high volume 3-point shooter in the NBA. And on top of that, he can get to the rim. He's huge. He's a beast. I mean, he's 18 years old?
18 and a half. So, yeah. So, and the crazy thing, he's really the only small forward in this draft. After that, George brought up Kendall Brown earlier and stuff like that. He's really by himself as a small forward in this draft. So he will be a commodity. Somebody's like, we're tight here, but we definitely need a 3. I think he'll go between a 2 and 3, but with that 7 wingspan, you could see him at the 3.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Shout out to the chat. We got 120 in the chat. I see CP. Welcome, brother. Good to see you, brother. Starlight Roller. We surveyed 100 people. John Talento, didn't shout you out earlier. I saw you were writing in the chat before. Thank you so much for contributing. Still Dre wrote, Ben is Canadian like RJ. Yeah, he is.
He is.
But he's from
so shaded, by the way.
He's from the French side. He's Montreal.
He's Haitian. Yeah. His parents are Haitian.
Hey, I'll tell you, this is when we won those 3 in a row, and it looked like, oh no, we may not get into the lottery. I was bummed because look at these guys. Look at we've broken down 10 players. Anyone here that you get, you're going to up your talent pool tremendously by adding one of these 10 players. Now, are you getting a franchise changing player? No, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about adding high level quality that could become a piece later on. Maybe it's they're part of the rotation, a fixture forever, or they're part of a package that you trade for that star. But it's asset accumulation that is what the Knicks should be doing right now, just accumulating assets as much as possible and then developing them, unlike what we did with Knox and Frank, which we didn't develop them. So this is exciting. This is an exciting top 10. I mean, it's not last year's top 10, but it's, where you were talking about all-stars. Here maybe we have a couple of guys that maybe could be an all-star here and there.
Jabari, I could see as an all-star. Ben, if Ben has handles, I could absolutely see as an all-star.
Yeah, but we have a lot of ifs. This is the ifs top 10. That's the thing. Like Chet Holmgren, he could be a tremendously special player, but we need to see how his physique responds in the NBA. So this has been good. This has been really exciting. I like one thing we did. Now let's talk about a little bit about the point guard situation, because the Knicks need a point guard. We're desperate for a point guard. The top rated point guard in this draft is Ty Washington, who
who doesn't play point guard. Who doesn't play point guard.
Yeah, IQ would be a better point guard. And we already know that IQ has the ability, and IQ is a better defender. Though Ty is good with the steals. Look, he's averaging 1.6 steals per game. That's pretty nice for a college player. Look at Dyson Daniels, averaging 5.0 steals per game in the G League.
Count.
That's in the G League.
The G League.
Yeah. Oh, man. But let me tell you, what Terry Eason, 2.9 steals.
He's a beast. He's an absolute beast. So, like I said, he's the best on-ball defender. So, if we wanted a lockdown 3 to take that burden off RJ, Terry Eason, and have patience for his offensive game, Hail Mary, that'll come around in a couple of years. But to have a defender like that changes everything.
Great question there. Can Ty get better than Brunson? Whew. That's a tough one, man.
Yeah, I'm not a big Ty.
I would say no. But first, sorry, I didn't mean to jump on you.
No, just Ty's been playing off ball. You have Wheeler, the kid from Georgia, the 5'8" point guard, and the reason why is because he could get to the rim. Ty, has a sweet mid-range game, and just real quick, folks. I have my crazy book here, but just real quick from a Ty is that he goes right almost every time. He can go left, but from a tendencies, my first thing's on tendencies.
Nice moves, though. He's got some nice moves, though. Yeah. Out in transition.
Yep. I have good size, length for lead guard, 6'9" wingspan, stronger than he looks, finishes through contact, ranks in the 90th percentile on floaters, which represents 20% of his attempts. He can do it off 1 or 2 feet, finishes almost 70% at the rim. Competent playmaker out of the pick and roll, good patience and vision. Has never played with an NBA big body because you have Schwebe there. He's like a 6'7", 6'8" guy there. Sweet mid-range pull-up jumper, usually off 1 or 2 dribbles. Nice shooting touch. Should be an average 3-point shooter right now. He's only averaging 33% from 3. Unselfish player, not ball dominant. He can play both guard positions. Doesn't possess elite skills. That's the one thing. He doesn't do anything elite. And that's why when I'm doing through this and we went through the top 10, whether it's Ben or the others, you can pull out something that, wow, this is an elite skill. Ty does a lot of things well, but nothing elite. And that jumps off. He lacks quickness, doesn't have a lethal first step. That average athleticism and lack of haps impacts him going against length. Only a couple dunks all season, needs to improve his 3-point shooting. Like I said, 33%. Rather shoot a floater than get to the rim. He doesn't like contact. Only got to the line 1.8 times. So he doesn't get to the line, lacks the elite handles to break down the defense to get to the rim. He has a little over a 2.5 to 1 assist to turnover ratio. You want a little more for a point guard. Needs to show more defensive focus and effort. So he's nowhere in the range of a deuce on defense. Late on closeouts, too much ball watching, plays upright on defense way too much, and he's a better on-ball defender than off. So, so just keeping it simple, I don't think he's better than Deuce or Rokas. So I think we just developed those guys, but I think Ty is good, but he's not better than Brunson, and I don't even think he's better than Deuce or Rokas. So why use the pick on somebody that, like I said earlier, drives me crazy that you have guys playing the off guard in college, and then you're asking them to play point guard in the most elite league in the year where they didn't get that education.
I'm going to be a little bit kinder. I'm going to be a little kinder to Ty, just to play devil's advocate. I will say this, because we've seen that this franchise is predisposed to trading down to accumulate picks and assets. So let's say we get a little unlucky in this lottery. We end up 13th, 14th, 12th pick or something. And Ty's still there. And maybe we can trade down to like 15 or 16 and still pick him up. I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that. Just because we do need, point guard-ish type players. We still don't know if Rokas is not going to play next season here.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like, or he's firing shots. He's telling the franchise, "Hey, if you can't guarantee that I'll be on the roster, not being sent down to Westchester, then I'm going to stay in Barcelona," which is fine, smart of him to do. So we don't know. He's a question mark. Deuce, we still got to see how he does the remainder of this year and the summer league. So we still need to acquire. We need to acquire guards. We need guards who can handle the ball, and he can. That's one thing. He has a nice handle. He gets his way through traffic pretty nicely. Like I said, out in transition, he's got excellent finishing skills. But definitely, if we are up there like 7th, 8th, or 9th pick, I would not take him. But as a trade down scenario, I wouldn't be adverse to that. That's what I would say about Ty.
Cool.
Yeah, we had another super chat from Hamish. Thank you so much for the contribution.
Hey, Hamish.
Hamish says, sounds like Benedict is our guy. Could he be available for us?
Not if he goes crazy in the March Madness.
That's the problem. We're in that tricky situation with him. Yeah, he's the kind of guy that it also depends on how the lottery shakes out. But let's say, the tournament's going to be over before the lottery. So if he balls out the way we're expecting and Arizona ends up in the final against Gonzaga, which was being predicted, I have a hard time seeing him fall below 6 or 7. 7 at the lowest.
That's why I've been saying I want 5. Get us to the 5 position because it gives us a whole lot of leverage.
So we'll need to get lucky. However, if some fluky thing happens with Arizona, he still plays well, but I don't want to jinx anybody or whatever. But let's say some things happen. You never know. Injuries are a problem. Foul trouble's a problem. It's only one game. Arizona gets knocked out in the Sweet 16, and then he doesn't get those extra games to show off his ability. Maybe he doesn't rise as high as we're thinking, and he's there at 9, 8 in that range where we are. Then we will definitely take him. He would be, I'm telling you, fantastic pickup for the Knicks would be Benedict Mathurin.
Yeah, especially with RJ. I could see them being a tag team and dynamite together.
Yes. That's what I like, his combination with RJ. And you actually were pointed it out to me originally. I see that very like a beautiful combination, those two. All right. Thank you so much for that super chat. That was excellent. Let's see, it's going to chat. My computer's getting a little slow.
Yeah.
We're an hour and 43 minutes. I think we should be wrapping it up soon.
Yeah, Parrish, we have another super chat for you.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Great show, fellas. Salute. I love our young core. Thank you so much, Parrish. I agree. I think our young core, I think we have a nice young core. And we saw it. We saw Sims delivered. I think there's a possibility that the Knicks can win games if we just play the young guys. That's what we've been crying out for.
No doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's see. Here we go. All right, Foxy, any final thoughts you have about the draft? One thing. Sorry, before to cut you off, I just want to mention that we will be doing another draft show from the point of view of Knicks next Monday after we've watched a whole week of March Madness. So we'll see how some of these guys have responded. Some guys may have climbed the draft board.
Wait.
Some may fall. There might be some surprise guys that came out of nowhere. Hopefully, David Rudy will be still be around.
The new round mound of rebound.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. I'm excited. I'm so hyped for this part, and I'm very excited that the Knicks are in the conversation for getting a lottery pick at this time.
Yep. I was just going to say, if things just don't work out the Knicks way and we trade down, we get a pick and we trade down, a possibility because of the Mitch situation and also Nerlens. You have to take that into consideration. Is Mark Williams of Duke, that he has a 7 foot 7.5 inch wingspan. He's obviously more of an old school big man, but that 2.8 blocks per game. He's a rookie that could walk right in from a rim protector and shot blocking standpoint. He's good on lobs and stuff like that. He's an average athlete. And I know people don't like to hear he doesn't have the best hands, especially when you follow a team with Nerlens Noel. You hate to hear that, but you can't teach 7.5 wingspan. He's just a shot blocker. And then again, I said down, maybe trading down in the 30th range, maybe early, is Ben Matherin's teammate, Christian Coloco. 7'1", 7'5", wingspan, 21 years, 2.7 blocks per game, a rim protector, plays above the rim, a lob threat, good foul shooter. But he's old school. As George said earlier, we don't have, we have one stretch five or a prototype new age center. His name's Chet Holmgren, and then after that, almost everybody's old school centers in this draft.
Yeah, I like him. I like Mark Williams a lot. Definitely like him. And he's not a center, but Trevion Williams as well.
But I thought you had a great point. I thought you had a great point that in today's NBA, though, you could see him at a 5 in small lineups.
He could be an interesting guy. Like if we do a trade down into the 20s, pick up an additional draft pick for an ensuing year, and then we have him there, and then we're planning on doing a sign and trade with Mitch. He'd be an interesting asset to bring on board.
I actually think he's a second round grade, Trevion. I don't know if he'll be in the first round, so I think he can absolutely be a huge value pick.
Yeah, I'm hedging. I think he's going to climb because I think he's going to show off those skills in the tournament. That's why I'm highlighting him.
And one of my only other sleepers that I wanted to bring up, and I watched a lot of them because of me watching nonstop Ben Matherin, is Jabari Walker, a 6'8", 7 foot wingspan, power forward, stretch 4 power forward from Colorado, high flyer, athletic, 3-level scorer, great length. Like I said, you block Ben shots and stuff like that. Solid rebounder, excellent defender. He's again, from a pedigree standpoint, his father's Samaki Walker. So you love guys that, his father is showing him the thing. So he, again, second round, Orlando Robinson, another center out of Fresno State, so there's a couple of guys out there in the second round that could be possible, stashes a couple of years from now that could be really, really happening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, well, we're going to wind the show down. Thank you guys for watching this so much. Starlight Roller, thank you for your contribution.
Be nice.
Really appreciate that. George and Foxy, thanks for your insight. Salute to you guys. The chat, awesome. Great questions, great contributions. You guys filled out a lot of stuff that we were talking about, which is great. It was a good back and forth.
Thanks, everyone. CP, thanks again for dropping by. We appreciate it. Yep. We love your show, man. You're the man.
TV crew was in the house. CP and JD earlier.
Yeah, can't get better than that.
All right, and once again, we have a new sponsor during this March Madness period. It's BUSR. It's a sports book. Please check it out. There's a link in the description. You bet $1 to win 10,000 plus a 100% sign up bonus, and you get 25 casino chips with every deposit. One lucky winner will be randomly chosen and credited with $10,000. So, and this is for new signups and if you're an existing customer as well. It's pretty easy. Just make a deposit using the promotion on the site, and you place $1 bet or more on any of the games, and you're participating to win. And the registration already opened yesterday, and the winner of the 10K will be announced on the 26th, the day of the Elite Eight. So definitely check that out. And
I think you got another super chat.
Oh, Edgar. Thank you, brother. Are there any players from overseas to look at? That is something that we're definitely going to have a section of in the next show next week. But we did talk a little bit about Nikola
Jovic. Yep.
Jovic.
You have one,
Jovic.
Ishmael Kamagate is a center. There's a couple others, but we'll get into that next week. But thanks so much for the super chat.
Yeah, that's but Jovic is somebody that people are very excited about. I actually haven't watched any tape on him. I've only read stuff about him, and he looks promising. He looks interesting. Of course, everybody, all these guys have pluses and minuses. But you were pretty high on him.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. He's, like I said, he'd be a surprise. Somebody's like, my God, I didn't realize that they were going to pick him, that he would go that high. And that's somebody that you just can't, when you have guard skills at 6'11", that's an eye opener. And also a great vision in passing too. He's
projected as a low first rounder right now.
And that's before the workouts and stuff. Exactly. Mid round. I look at him mid first round.
Mid first round.
Okay. Yep. That he can soar up those boards in good workouts and stuff.
Excellent. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching this. Again, my name is George, and this is Stephen Fox of Sports Vibes TV. If you haven't subscribed to Sports Vibes TV, please do so. Excellent Sunday stream with Keys. We're the pregame show group here.
The Syndicate.
The Syndicate. Yeah, man. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching this again, and we will see you next week. And watch lots of March Madness. Take care.